Oh, I'd have to think very hard. There's one thing I think he wouldn't mind if I told you.
It was one of Hollywood's most explosive hidden secrets. John Wayne and Maureen O'Hara, two legendary stars, were long rumored to be caught in a forbidden love that stretched across decades. For years, they shut down every whisper, insisting they were nothing more than close friends. But now, long after the spotlight faded, their families are finally opening up, and what they're revealing changes everything. 17 secret love poems, a photograph he kept beside his bed for over 30 years, and emotional final words that paint a completely different picture of their relationship.
He was perhaps he was my dearest friend and my best friend.
Suddenly, that just friends story doesn't feel so convincing anymore. Before the fame, before Hollywood, Maureen's story began far from the bright lights. Born Maureen Fitzsimons on August 17, 1920, in Ranelagh, a quiet suburb of Dublin, Ireland, she grew up in a household full of life and ambition. Her mother, Margarita, was a respected singer known for her deep, powerful voice, while her father, Charles, was a businessman with ties to one of Ireland's top football clubs, Shamrock Rovers. As the second of 6 children, Maureen was surrounded by constant energy. Life in that big family wasn't quiet. It was lively, competitive, and full of personality. Those early years helped shape her fearless nature. She didn't shy away from challenges, she chased them. That same boldness would later define her Hollywood career, where she became known for performing her own stunts without hesitation. Even as a child, her imagination set her apart. She would spend hours in the garden, talking to flowers as if they were real companions, building entire stories in her mind. It might have seemed unusual, but it revealed something deeper, a natural instinct for storytelling and performance.
I knew all of his secrets, and he knew all of mine.
When she later shared this with Charles Lawton, he immediately recognized it as raw, creative brilliance. By the age of 5, Maureen was already performing, sometimes with nothing more than her own shadow. At 10, she joined the Rathmines Theater Company, balancing school with a growing passion for acting. It quickly became clear she wasn't just talented, she was determined. Her skills sharpened further at the Ina Mary Burke School of Elocution and Drama, where she mastered speech and stage presence. Awards soon followed, confirming what many already suspected. She wasn't just dreaming of stardom, she was on her way to it. At 14, she earned a place at the prestigious Abbey Theatre School, Ireland's top training ground for actors. There, she immersed herself in classical roles and vocal training, delivering standout performances that caught attention. Her portrayal of Portia in The Merchant of Venice even earned her the Dublin Fice Award, fueling growing whispers that a future star was emerging. But her path to Hollywood didn't start smoothly.
Well, I really haven't had time to put in much thought about this whole thing. I'm rather embarrassed to.
At 17, she traveled to London for a screen test that completely flopped. Most would have given up right there, but fate had other plans, because despite that failed audition, Charles Lawton saw something unforgettable in her, something he couldn't ignore. He later described her eyes as hauntingly beautiful, and from that moment on, he knew she was destined for something far bigger. Even without professional experience, Maureen O'Hara caught the attention of someone who truly mattered, Charles Lawton. He didn't just see potential, he believed in it completely. Taking a huge chance, he signed her to a 7-year contract, an incredible opportunity for someone so young and untested. Not long after, he cast her in Jamaica Inn, 1939, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. Playing Mary Yellen, Maureen stepped into her first major role, learning quickly and absorbing everything she could about the craft. Then came the move that changed her life forever, Hollywood.
And to this day, his kids say to me, "Come on, Auntie Maureen, you know more about Dad than anybody else. Tell." And I said, They were secrets then, they're secrets now, and they would always be secrets.
Under Lawton's guidance, she landed the role of Esmeralda in The Hunchback of Notre Dame. At just 19, she was suddenly thrust into the spotlight, and she didn't waste the moment. Filming was anything but easy. The production demanded long hours under intense heat, heavy costumes, and physically exhausting scenes, but Maureen refused to take shortcuts. She insisted on doing her own stunts, even in dangerous moments like the hanging sequence. That level of commitment wasn't common, especially for someone so new, but it instantly set her apart. When the film premiered, her performance left a lasting impression. She brought emotion, strength, and authenticity to the screen, earning praise from critics and audiences alike. The film became a major success, pulling in around $3 million at the box office, a remarkable achievement at the time. More importantly, it proved she could stand alongside established stars and hold her ground. As her career gained momentum, another transformation quietly took place: her name.
To be here still alive, but I'm not going to die just so they can call it the John Wayne.
Better not.
Lofton and producer Eric Palmer felt Maureen Fitzsimons wouldn't resonate with Hollywood audiences. They wanted something sharper, more memorable. Inspired by Gone with the Wind, they introduced a new identity: Maureen O'Hara. It carried strength, elegance, and a distinct Irish charm. At first, she struggled with the change. It didn't feel entirely like her, but she trusted their instincts. When Jamaica Inn was released, the name Maureen O'Hara appeared on screen for the first time, and it stuck. Her defining breakthrough came in 1941 with How Green Was My Valley, directed by John Ford. Originally intended for Katharine Hepburn, the role of Angharad unexpectedly fell into Maureen's hands after production changes caused by World War II. Despite being relatively unknown, she secured the role without a formal screen test, outperforming other major contenders. The film's release was a massive triumph, winning 5 Academy Awards, including Best Picture, even surpassing Citizen Kane, a decision still debated today. Yet for Maureen, the victory carried a hint of disappointment. Despite her powerful performance, she received no Oscar nomination, a pattern that would follow her throughout her career. Her collaboration with John Ford became legendary, though far from smooth. Ford's harsh temperament often clashed with Maureen's strong personality. In one shocking moment, he even struck her. But instead of backing down, she stood her ground, making it clear she wouldn't be intimidated. That fierce independence became her trademark, shaping a partnership that was as volatile as it was creatively powerful.
But there's so many stories about Duke. Funny stories, crazy stories, all kinds of things.
Despite the tension behind the scenes, How Green Was My Valley became a turning point for Maureen O'Hara. The film's massive success didn't just elevate her status, it gave her something rare in Hollywood at the time: freedom. With a new contract that allowed her to work across multiple studios, including 20th Century Fox, she suddenly had access to bigger roles and top-tier directors. It wasn't long before Maureen earned a dazzling new title, the Queen of Technicolor. Her striking red hair and vivid green eyes seemed made for the screen, especially in an era when color film was still evolving. Herbert Kelmus himself pointed to her as the perfect showcase of what Technicolor could achieve. But behind that glowing image was a much harsher reality. Filming in Technicolor was physically demanding. The lighting required was intense, almost blinding, and the heat on set could be overwhelming. Still, Maureen pushed through it all, often working exhausting hours while others struggled to keep up. Her resilience became just as legendary as her on-screen beauty. Her first major Technicolor success came with To the Shores of Tripoli, and it marked the beginning of an incredible run. She went on to star in visually stunning films like Buffalo Bill, The Spanish Main, and Sinbad the Sailor. Between 1941 and 1953, she appeared in 19 Technicolor films. more than any other actress of her time, solidifying her place as one of Hollywood's most visually iconic stars. But that fame came with a downside. Studios often became so focused on her appearance that they overlooked her acting depth. She once joked that producers didn't care about the story. As long as she was dressed in green and lit just right, they believed the film would succeed. It was a frustrating reality for someone who had worked so hard to prove her talent. Then came one of her most beloved roles, Doris Walker in Miracle on 34th Street. Ironically, the film nearly stumbled before it even began. It was released in May with marketing that avoided any mention of Christmas, as studios feared audiences wouldn't turn out during the holiday season. Even Maureen herself had doubts about the script and initially didn't want the role. It was her co-star, John Payne, who convinced her to take the chance, a decision that would pay off in a big way. Her performance as a practical, independent mother rediscovering belief became one of her most cherished roles. But she didn't stop there. In adventure films like The Black Swan, she proved she was more than just a screen presence. She was physically fearless. Refusing to rely on stunt doubles, Maureen performed her own fight scenes, including demanding sword battles. In one instance, she even injured her hand during filming but kept going, with the take making it into the final cut. She trained in fencing, horseback riding, and even mastered the bullwhip, skills that many actors avoided entirely. But that fearless spirit came with real risks. While filming Against All Flags, Maureen O'Hara faced a moment that could have ended everything. During a sword fight scene, a blade came dangerously close, missing her neck by mere inches.
She's been your wife a good many times, hasn't she?
His fighting partner.
That's actually what it's really been. I've never seen any of those love scenes. It's always been, Jesus,
It was the kind of accident that could have turned tragic in seconds. Somehow, she walked away with only a small cut on her hand. Still, the incident made one thing crystal clear. Maureen was willing to risk it all for authenticity. That rare combination of courage, resilience, and undeniable presence made her stand out in an industry full of stars. And it wasn't long before that energy caught the attention of two powerful figures, John Ford and John Wayne, men who would play a major role in shaping her future. Their first meeting was anything but ordinary. On August 17, 1941, her 21st birthday, Maureen was summoned to John Ford's office. When she arrived, she found herself face to face with John Wayne, already an established Western icon at 34. Without explanation, Ford looked at them and abruptly ordered, "Dance." Caught off guard but determined, Maureen began performing an Irish jig right there on the spot. Wayne, equally confused, tried to follow along, awkwardly stepping beside her. Moments later, Ford shouted, "Cut!" and dismissed them both without another word. Neither of them understood what had just happened. Only later did it make sense. That strange encounter had been Ford's unconventional way of testing their on-screen chemistry, observing how they moved, interacted, and connected. He had already seen her powerful work in How Green Was My Valley and suspected she might be the perfect match for Wayne in future films. Maureen would later joke about the moment, recalling how unusual it all felt. But that brief, awkward dance marked the beginning of something far more significant, a partnership that would leave a lasting mark on Hollywood. Interestingly, their first film together didn't come right away. It wasn't until 1950 with Rio Grande that audiences finally saw them share the screen. Getting there wasn't simple. John Ford had long wanted to make The Quiet Man, but the studio refused to back it. So he struck a deal. He would first direct a reliable Western hit to prove its value. Filming took place in the harsh desert landscape of Moab, Utah, where temperatures climbed above 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Maureen played Kathleen York, the strong-willed wife of Wayne's character, Lieutenant Colonel Kirby York. The conditions were grueling. Heavy costumes, long hours, and relentless heat tested everyone on set. In one particularly dangerous scene, Maureen had to ride at full speed while dressed in layered clothing. During one take, her horse stumbled, nearly throwing her off. The situation turned serious fast. Wayne immediately stepped in, halting production and insisting a stunt double takeover for the riskier shots. That moment revealed something important. Beneath the professionalism, there was genuine concern, a protective instinct that went beyond the script. It marked the beginning of a bond that would grow stronger over time. Rio Grande became a major success, earning around $2.25 million and firmly establishing the on-screen partnership between Maureen O'Hara and John Wayne. While Maureen earned $50,000 compared to Wayne's $100,000 plus a share of the profits, she often spoke about how he treated her with genuine respect. In an era where Hollywood was overwhelmingly male-dominated, that kind of equality was rare. Wayne admired her strength and independence, and she refused to play the helpless roles many actresses were pushed into. Then came the film that would define their legacy, The Quiet Man. Shot in Ireland, it was deeply personal for Maureen, connecting her back to her roots. But emotionally meaningful didn't mean easy. The production stretched across 129 demanding days, filled with harsh weather, physical strain, and countless retakes that tested everyone involved. One of the most intense moments came during a scene where Maureen had to run barefoot across rough, rocky terrain in the pouring rain. She repeated the take 38 times. By the end, her feet were cut and bleeding, yet she never complained or asked to stop. That level of dedication didn't go unnoticed. Wayne was deeply impressed by her toughness. When filming wrapped, he gave her a thoughtful gift, a pair of soft lambskin-lined boots, along with a handwritten note wishing her warmth against the Irish cold. It was a small gesture, but one that reflected a deep level of admiration and respect between them. The film itself became a phenomenon, earning $3.8 million and winning 2 Academy Awards. One of its most iconic moments, a 9-minute fight scene between Wayne and Victor McLaglen, took 4 full days to shoot. Even though Maureen wasn't part of that sequence, she remained on set the entire time, supporting Wayne. That quiet loyalty spoke volumes about their connection. Audiences were captivated by their chemistry. It felt authentic, powerful, and effortless, the kind of dynamic that couldn't easily be manufactured. Naturally, that kind of energy sparked rumors. Fans and tabloids began to question whether what they were seeing on screen reflected something more personal behind the scenes. Those rumors intensified in 1963 during the filming of McClintock. A photographer claimed to have captured an intimate moment between them, and the images quickly found their way into tabloids. The story spread fast, suggesting a long-running secret romance. With Wayne going through a divorce at the time and Maureen single, speculation only grew stronger. Both of them pushed back firmly. Maureen even addressed the situation publicly, making it clear that the claims were untrue and damaging. Still, the rumors refused to fade. Years later, she offered a statement that only deepened the mystery. She admitted that there was love between them, but insisted it was never romantic. It was, in her words, a deep and genuine friendship. In a 1988 interview with Barbara Walters, she made her position crystal clear. Looking directly at the camera, she stated that she had never had a romantic relationship with John Wayne, describing their bond as one built on mutual respect, loyalty, and a rare kind of connection that didn't need romance to be meaningful. Even after her clear denials, not everyone was convinced. Rumors clung stubbornly to Maureen O'Hara and John Wayne, with gossip magazines dissecting every word, every glance, every pause. Some even claimed she was hiding the truth. Eventually, Maureen had enough. Refusing to let speculation define her story, she took a bold and public stand. In a full-page statement published in Variety, she firmly defended their bond, calling it one of the most meaningful friendships of her life, and making it clear that suggesting anything more was both false and deeply disrespectful to her late husband and their marriage. That statement wasn't emotional or defensive. It was calm, strong, and final. She had drawn a line, and she wasn't going to revisit it again. But beyond the headlines and Hollywood intrigue, Maureen's real story was far more complex. Behind the fame was a life shaped by difficult choices, painful lessons, and incredible resilience. Her first marriage came shockingly early. At just 19, on June 29, 1939, she found herself in a situation she never truly chose. Her partner at the time, George H. Brown, arranged a sudden wedding just before she was set to leave for Hollywood to film The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Caught off guard and overwhelmed, Maureen went through with it, not out of love, but out of confusion and pressure in a moment she didn't fully control. She didn't even tell her family or her trusted mentor, Charles Lawton, until afterward. It wasn't until she boarded the Queen Mary that reality set in. The weight of what had happened hit her all at once. In tears, she finally confessed everything to Lawton and his wife, who reassured her and promised to handle the situation quietly. Remarkably, Maureen never saw Brown again after that day. With World War II erupting soon after, their lives moved in completely different directions. It took over 2 years for the marriage to be legally annulled, finally ending in 1941. The experience left a lasting mark on her, a harsh lesson about trust, control, and the importance of standing her ground. Hollywood didn't make it easier. Studio executives were furious when they learned about the secret marriage, fearing it would damage her carefully crafted image. That moment opened her eyes to the reality of the industry, how deeply studios tried to control not just careers, but personal lives as well. Later that same year, she entered a second marriage with filmmaker Will Price. It wasn't a decision she made with certainty. In fact, she had doubts from the start. But Price was persistent, and eventually she gave in. The wedding was small and rushed, held quietly at his family home in Mississippi, so sudden that Maureen only informed her own family minutes before it began. In 1944, she gave birth to her daughter, Bronwyn Bridget Price, a moment of pure joy in an otherwise turbulent chapter of her life. But behind that happiness was a darker reality. Just days before giving birth, Price, intoxicated and angry, struck her during an argument. It was a shocking and deeply painful moment, one that marked the beginning of a long period of fear and instability. His alcoholism quickly took over their lives. Nights became unpredictable, filled with anxiety and uncertainty. There were times Maureen had to track him down and bring him home from bars, completely exhausted and humiliated. She never knew what version of him she would face. The abuse didn't end with fear or violence. It took an even darker turn. At one point, Will Price allegedly went as far as working with a doctor to convince Maureen O'Hara that she needed surgery for an illness she didn't even have. It was a chilling form of manipulation designed to control her decisions and movements. For Maureen, it was a deep betrayal, one that shattered what little trust remained. Despite everything, she didn't leave right away. Her strong Catholic beliefs, combined with Hollywood's pressure to maintain a perfect public image, kept her trapped longer than she wanted to admit. Looking back years later, she was honest about that painful reality. She acknowledged that fear, pride, and expectation can keep someone in a situation long after they know it's breaking them. By 1953, she reached her breaking point. Finding the strength to walk away, she filed for divorce, a bold and difficult move in an era when it carried heavy stigma, especially for a woman in her position. The separation came at a steep cost. She was left responsible for paying off Price's enormous $300,000 debt, a staggering amount at the time. To make matters worse, he initially tried to gain custody of their daughter, adding even more stress to an already exhausting battle. The process drained her emotionally and financially, but it also marked a turning point. For the first time in years, she had the freedom to take control of her own life again, to rebuild on her own terms. Through all of it, she never allowed her personal struggles to define her career. During the 1950s and early 1960s, she continued to shine on screen, starring in films like The Quiet Man and The Parent Trap. These roles often reflected the very qualities she carried within herself: strength, independence, and resilience. Audiences could feel that authenticity, and it only deepened their admiration for her. Off-screen, her most important role was being a mother. She made it clear that her daughter, Bronwyn, would always come first. Rather than chasing every opportunity, she carefully chose projects that allowed them to stay close. During The Parent Trap, Bronwyn even appeared as an extra, a small but meaningful moment that showed the bond they shared. Her warmth extended beyond her own family. While filming Miracle on 34th Street, she formed a special connection with her young co-star, Natalie Wood, who affectionately called her Mama Maureen. It was a nickname that stayed with her, reflecting the nurturing side that many didn't always see. That balance, fierce strength paired with genuine kindness, became one of the most defining aspects of her legacy. She could dominate the screen with confidence and power, yet remain deeply compassionate in her personal life. But in 1957, her reputation was suddenly tested in a different way. The scandal-driven magazine Confidential published a sensational story about her, filled with shocking claims. The article alleged that she had been involved in inappropriate behavior during a private screening at Grauman's Chinese Theater back in 1954. The story exploded across headlines, shocking fans and threatening everything Maureen O'Hara had built. Known for her dignity and strong moral image, the accusations didn't just feel false. They felt deeply personal. But instead of retreating, Maureen made a bold decision. She refused to stay silent. On July 9, 1957, she took legal action against Confidential, filing a lawsuit for $1 million, later increasing it to $5 million as the damage escalated. At a time when most Hollywood stars avoided confrontation to protect their careers, Maureen did the exact opposite. She fought back publicly and fearlessly. And she didn't come unprepared. She presented undeniable evidence, including her passport, which clearly showed she wasn't even in the United States when the alleged incident took place. Instead, she was in Spain filming Fire Over Africa. That single detail alone dismantled the entire story. Her case became part of a much larger legal battle against Confidential, exposing the darker side of tabloid journalism. For 15 intense days in court, Maureen remained composed and unwavering. She faced the jury with confidence, determined to defend not just her name, but the idea that truth still mattered. When it was over, she had done more than clear her reputation. She had set an example. She proved that even in Hollywood, integrity could still stand strong against lies. Years later, life brought her something completely different and completely unexpected. In 1967, she met Charles Blair, a respected pilot known for his daring achievements, including solo flights over the North Pole. At the time, Maureen wasn't searching for love. After everything she had endured, she had grown cautious. But sometimes life has its own plans. Their connection was immediate, but not in the dramatic Hollywood way. It was steady, genuine, and built on shared interests, adventure, travel, and a deep appreciation for life beyond fame. Despite their age difference, they quickly realized how naturally they fit together. Before long, Charles proposed. Even after swearing she would never marry again, Maureen chose to take a chance. In 1968, they were married in a quiet ceremony on the island of St. Thomas, far removed from the pressures of Hollywood. It marked a new beginning, one grounded in peace rather than spotlight. She gradually stepped away from acting, focusing instead on building a life with Charles. The couple settled in St. Croix, where he operated his airline, Antilles Airboats. But Maureen didn't simply stand on the sidelines. She became actively involved, learning the business, contributing to decisions, and helping manage operations. Even so, Hollywood never fully let her go. She returned occasionally for select roles, including Big Jake, where she reunited with John Wayne once again. Outside of film, she devoted her time to community work, supporting schools, hospitals, and charitable efforts across the islands. For the first time in years, her life felt balanced, filled with love, purpose, and stability. But that peace wouldn't last forever. In 1978, tragedy struck without warning. While flying a seaplane from St. Croix to St. Thomas, Charles Blair encountered sudden engine failure. He attempted an emergency landing on the water, but the conditions were rough. The sea offered no mercy. The loss of Charles Blair was devastating, a moment that shattered the life Maureen O'Hara had finally rebuilt. The crash claimed not only Charles, but 3 other passengers, while a handful of survivors were left behind to tell the story. For Maureen, it was the darkest chapter she had ever faced. Just when she had found peace, it was taken from her in an instant. But even in the face of overwhelming grief, she refused to collapse. Instead, she chose to honor Charles in a way that reflected who he was. She established a flight scholarship in his name, helping young dreamers pursue aviation, the very passion that had defined his life. It was her way of turning heartbreak into something meaningful, something lasting. Through it all, Maureen kept moving forward. That resilience, the same strength that had carried her through personal struggles and Hollywood battles, continued to define her. And standing quietly alongside that strength was one of the most fascinating relationships of her life, her enduring bond with John Wayne. In her autobiography, "'Tis Herself," Maureen shared rare behind-the-scenes insights into her years working with Wayne and director John Ford. According to her, Ford often pushed his actors to emotional extremes, sometimes deliberately creating tension to draw out authentic performances. And more often than not, Maureen and Wayne found themselves at the center of it. One particularly intense moment occurred during the filming of The Quiet Man. Ford directed harsh, personal remarks at Maureen about her Irish heritage, leaving her deeply upset as she walked off set in tears. What she didn't realize at the time was that it had been intentional, a calculated attempt to evoke real emotion for a scene. Wayne, unaware of Ford's plan, immediately went after her, concerned and protective. That raw emotion later translated into one of the film's most powerful moments. Their connection deepened even further years later during the filming of McClintock. In the middle of a chaotic scene involving a horse stampede, things suddenly spiraled out of control. Without hesitation, Wayne reacted instantly, pulling Maureen out of danger just seconds before she could have been seriously injured. It was a split-second decision that may have saved her life. Shaken by the experience, she later recorded the exact moment in her diary. 2:37 p.m., as if to mark how close she had come to disaster. In her memoir, Maureen also revealed something that surprised many. She admitted that years earlier, after working together, they had shared a brief and private romantic moment. But just as quickly, they chose to step back. Both understood that what they had, their trust, their partnership, their friendship, was too valuable to risk. That choice shaped everything that followed. Their relationship remained deeply connected, full of mutual respect and affection, but never crossed into something that would complicate it. They argued, laughed, challenged each other, but above all, they remained loyal. At the premiere of The Wings of Eagles, Wayne summed it up in his own way, calling her the best guy I know. It may have sounded unusual, but behind it, was a simple truth. He saw her as an equal, someone he trusted completely in an industry where that was rare. Maureen echoed that sentiment years later. In 1979, she publicly referred to him as her dearest friend, emphasizing that their bond had lasted nearly 4 decades. It wasn't just Hollywood talk. It was a connection built on loyalty, respect, and a lifetime of shared moments that neither of them ever forgot. Of course, even a bond as strong as the one between Maureen O'Hara and John Wayne wasn't without its clashes. One of their most famous disagreements happened on July 12, 1965, when the two locked into a heated political debate that stretched on for 3 full days. Neither one was willing to back down, both stubborn, both passionate, but in the end, their friendship proved stronger than any argument. Humor, as always, brought them back together. That playful dynamic defined their relationship. For Wayne's 65th birthday in 1972, Maureen gave him a custom saddle engraved with a brutally honest message. "To Duke, the biggest pain in my ass I've ever known." Instead of taking offense, Wayne burst into laughter, reportedly unable to stop for several minutes. That was their rhythm: sharp wit, deep affection, and a level of honesty few friendships could handle. Wayne never held back when it came to praising her either. In a 1976 interview with Playboy, he joked that she was the only person who could outmatch him on set, even in language. But beneath the humor was real respect. Maureen never allowed herself to be overshadowed, and Wayne admired that. He even encouraged her to take on her own stunts, something she embraced fully and carried throughout her career. When they reunited for Big Jake, it was clear nothing had changed. Their chemistry remained sharp, natural, and completely effortless. They trusted each other so much that a large portion of their dialogue was improvised. What audiences saw on screen wasn't just acting, it was years of shared experience, timing, and mutual understanding coming to life. But their final meeting would be something far more profound. On June 8, 1979, Maureen traveled from St. Croix to Los Angeles after learning that Wayne was seriously ill. She arrived at the hospital and spent several hours by his side. Though his body was failing, his spirit hadn't changed. He still smiled, still joked, still reached for the warmth that had defined him for so long. They talked about everything: old films, difficult shoots, funny mistakes, and memories that stretched back decades. For a moment, it felt like nothing had changed. They even entertained the idea of working together again, fully aware it would never happen. When it was time for her to leave, the moment was quiet, almost fragile. Wayne looked at her, noticing the smallest detail, and gently complimented her coat. It was simple but deeply personal, a reflection of how well he knew her. Those words would be the last he ever spoke to her. In the years that followed, Maureen reflected on that moment often. In a later interview, she revealed that during that final visit, Wayne had confided in her about the pain he was enduring. It had become so overwhelming that he had, at times, struggled to keep going. Their conversation, their shared memories gave him strength, even if only for a little while longer. When he passed away just days later, the loss hit her harder than almost anything she had experienced. According to her family, it was one of the rare moments where her strength gave way completely. She grieved openly, unable to hold back the emotion that had built up over decades of friendship. Determined to honor him properly, she took on the responsibility of writing his eulogy herself. For 3 days, she worked without rest, pouring memories, laughter, and heartbreak into every word. It wasn't just a speech. It was a final tribute to a connection that had shaped much of her life. At his funeral, the weight of it all became almost too much to carry. As she spoke about their shared history, her voice broke more than once. Each memory brought both warmth and pain, reminding everyone present that what they had shared went far beyond the screen. After the service, she approached his casket one last time. Placing her hand gently on it, she whispered something only the two of them would understand. For years, she kept that moment private. Then, much later, she revealed the truth. It wasn't a grand farewell or a dramatic confession. It was something simple, something real. A private joke they had shared, a final echo of laughter between two people who had spent a lifetime side by side. After the passing of John Wayne, Maureen O'Hara found it almost impossible to let go. The memories they had built together were too vivid, too meaningful. In one deeply emotional stretch, she watched the quiet man 57 times in a single month, holding on to every shared glance, every line, every moment that connected them across time. On what would have been his birthday in 1980, she chose to honor him in a way that spoke volumes about her devotion. She organized a private dinner and unveiled a bronze statue of Wayne, a tribute she personally funded at a cost of $183,000. It wasn't just a gesture. It was a lasting symbol of the impact he had on her life, both on screen and far beyond it. As the years passed, more details began to surface from those closest to them, revealing just how deep that connection truly ran. Wayne's son, Patrick Wayne, shared that his father had kept a framed photograph of Maureen by his bedside for nearly 30 years, through marriages, career highs, and personal struggles. The image had been taken during the filming of The Quiet Man, a film that would forever tie their names together. Maureen's daughter, Bronwyn, also remembered moments that hinted at something more. She recalled seeing the two of them embracing on Christmas Eve in the mid-1950s. Even as a child, she sensed there was a deeper connection, something unspoken but undeniably present. Then came one of the most surprising revelations. Wayne's grandson, Brendan Wayne, revealed that between 1960 and 1962, Wayne had written 17 personal poems dedicated to Maureen. They were never publicly shared, but one line stood out for its quiet intensity, a reflection of longing and admiration that seemed to capture everything he never said out loud. According to the family, those private writings are set to be displayed at the John Wayne Birthplace Museum, offering a rare glimpse into a more personal side of a man often seen as larger than life. Taken together, these details, the photographs, the memories, the hidden words, paint a picture that goes beyond simple labels. What they shared wasn't easily defined. It wasn't just friendship, and it wasn't something that needed to be explained. It simply existed, deeply and authentically. After stepping away from Hollywood for nearly 2 decades, Maureen made a remarkable return in 1991 with Only the Lonely. The film was written and directed by Chris Columbus, with production by John Hughes, both of whom had long admired her work. She took on the role of Rose Muldoon, a strong-willed Irish mother opposite John Candy. Her performance was warmly received. Critics praised the authenticity she brought to the role, noting how natural her connection with Candy felt. The film earned $25.1 million at the box office and reminded audiences that her presence on screen still carried the same strength and emotional depth. Then, in 2014, came a long overdue moment of recognition. At the age of 94, Maureen received an honorary Oscar, a tribute to a lifetime of unforgettable performances and contributions to cinema. The award was presented by Liam Neeson and Clint Eastwood, both of whom spoke about her lasting influence and remarkable career. When Maureen O'Hara was wheeled onto the stage to receive her long overdue Oscar, she proved that time had done nothing to dim her spirit. With that familiar sparkle in her eyes, she smiled and joked, "I hope it's silver or gold, and not like a spoon from the kitchen." The audience erupted with laughter and applause. Even after decades in the spotlight, she still had that effortless charm, the same warmth and wit that had made her unforgettable from the very beginning. On October 24, 2015, Maureen passed away peacefully at her home in Boise, Idaho, at the age of 95. She was surrounded by the people who loved her most, closing her eyes in the same quiet strength that had defined her entire life. In a poetic and deeply emotional moment, music from The Quiet Man, the film that shaped so much of her legacy, was playing softly as she slipped away. Her passing came less than a year after receiving her honorary Oscar, almost as if she had finally reached the final chapter of her journey. It felt like a perfect ending, not just to a career, but to a life filled with passion, resilience, heartbreak, and triumph. From a spirited young girl in Ireland to one of Hollywood's most iconic leading ladies, her story remains one that continues to inspire. She wasn't just remembered for her beauty or her performances, but for her strength, the way she stood her ground, fought through adversity, and stayed true to herself, no matter what life threw her way. Whether on screen or off, Maureen O'Hara lived boldly, loved deeply, and left behind a legacy that will never fade. If this story moved you and you want to hear more powerful, untold stories from Hollywood's golden era, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps keep these incredible stories alive. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.